For a long time, pivot tables and pivot charts were very mystifying to me. And I was always like, man, I know Excel pretty well, but pivot tables, pivot charts, I have absolutely no idea what that does. And then one day I took it upon myself to sit down and really try to understand what the heck pivot tables and pivot charts were and how to use them. And since I have learned how to use pivot tables and pivot charts, since I have mastered it, I have come to think that pivot tables and pivot charts are perhaps one of the most powerful tools, not only within Excel, but anywhere out there for analyzing and understanding data. It's really a pretty amazing capability to be able to look at your data in many different ways. And the best way I've found to understand just what the heck pivot tables and pivot charts are is just to see them in action. And then I'll show you how to build them. But they aren't necessarily a difficult thing to learn. It's actually pretty super easy. And by the end of this video, you're going to have awesome skills for quickly understanding data. So we're going to go over all these things right here in this video. And I put in a few Moneyball quotes from that book over here on the right. So you could read those if you'd like to check those out. But in order to do this, I'm going to need some sales data. So here's a whole bunch of sales data for a company, which is a wholesaler of tents. So we wholesale tents to different retailers. Here's the manufacturer of the tent. Here's the tent. Here is the customer, the retailer who's buying from us. This is the date they bought on us. This is the sales transaction number. You can see we have 2,999 sales transactions, all the way from 1 to 2,999. And the date it happened, and then the salesperson responsible for the sale, the quantity of what they ordered, the price of that particular item, and what the total was and where it was shipped and what region that is in. To generate all this data, so you could download the project files, of course, and take a look at all of this data here to see how it was generated, because I find this stuff pretty interesting. But I basically just created, a whole bunch of, like here are all my salespeople, here are all the states and regions, here are all the items, here are all the potential customers. And then I just randomly had pull that information from these tables and copy it in over here. So you can take a look to see how I created that, because I think that's actually a really cool little deal. So let's take a look at, with our sales data, creating a pivot table. And it's just this dang easy. So first thing, recognize this, that all